All right, well, folks know it starts at 1, so we're just getting rolling here. Welcome to the WAC meeting coming up. So if I could get who is in the conference room with us? Sir.
Maggie Van Huss.
And Rick Kane.
Excellent. Excellent, guys. Well, it's a pleasure to have you. Should have a Lynn and a Tom showing up at some point. If not, we'll just keep on rolling through. Would be open the meeting now, and then also approving minutes, which you don't have a quorum for. I'm just going to go ahead and skip over those, and then give Stephen the floor to give him his time back here. Stephen, you take us through the walkthrough. I think if anybody comes in, we can just give them updates as we go.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Jonathan. Happy to be here with you all. It's been exciting for us to have the opportunity to work with the Virginia Museum of Natural History on this project in Waynesboro. Jonathan asked me to join you all today to give you an update on the design. We are approaching a submission to the State Art and Architectural Review Board coming up, and plan on that being reviewed in April. And so you'll get a preview of what's being presented to them and the adjustments that are being made to the overall design at that point. They did approve the project once previously, and based on some budget considerations and some of the discussions that we've had over the course of the project design phase, we've made some adjustments to the overall design, and so that's led us to where we are today. So as you can see on my screen, hopefully, two images that show the project design. The top image shows the previously approved design that had the green and blue elements to it, and the proposed design, which is a little more streamlined, but no less dynamic in its architectural qualities. And we're excited about where this is going forward. Just to sort of move backwards a step to remind anybody who's watching, the site is located on the site of an existing parking lot that's right between Main and Broad Street, bordering Arch Avenue in Waynesboro. It's currently a surface parking lot. One of the interesting things that we learned through this process is that for many, many decades, this site was also the location of a lumber mill. And that lumber mill burned down probably late 1950s, and the site's been vacant ever since, but was a previously developed property that had a relationship to the community and commerce there. And so as we look at the property, the new plan shows the building in the upper corner of Arch and West Broad Street. And there's a open lawn landscape that connects to the South River Preserve, facing the river. In the revised design, we propose for much of this to be meadow planting that will have a kind of natural landscape to it, fairly low maintenance, with the possibility that in the future that the building could either expand or there could be more outdoor exhibits into that area in the future. And so the parking for the site is located down along West Main Street, one of the more recent decisions that we've made is that we're going to be retaining the existing stairwell that's on the corner of West Main and Arch Avenue that leads you up to that parking lot. So that feature is going to be retained. But otherwise, most of what's there now, the asphalt primarily, is going to be removed and the whole space redesigned to be a more inviting landscape that connects to the longer range plans of the South River Preserve that's adjacent to it. So the overall plans are fairly similar as we've gone through 27,000 plus square feet of building. Primarily exhibit space. So there's about 14,000 square feet of exhibit area within the building. All of this area in orange that's shown on the drawings is being developed with the exhibition design that's ongoing in parallel with our process for the architecture. Um, as you come into the building, there'll be a lobby, a museum shop, and an exhibit component that are incorporated within that. All of the services are then off to the left in the plan with the restrooms and staff space that's required. There will be a lab space similar to the facility in Martinsville where staff will have the ability to work actively on projects, but also be available to visitors for questions and interaction and engagement to some of the work that they're doing. And then on the north side on the back, there is a receiving area for shipping in and out as the staff bring stuff back and forth from their main facility in Martinsville. On the second floor, again, primarily exhibit space. So all of this orange again is exhibit space. There are some very nice openings that sort of view to below. In fact, our exhibit design kind of brings an element up through this opening in the floor so that it's a two-story component. There's going to be a lovely outdoor terrace that will be available for events that looks out onto the South River and the preserve. A couple classrooms that will be multi-purpose within the space and also have some exhibition component and then various support spaces as well on that upper level. So here's a view from the Main Street side of the South, the kind of in front of the South River, looking at the building. The revised design is now all going to be metal panels. So there'll be this variegated metal panel facade combined with a brick element that is the larger rectangular mass of the structure. The brick is intended to kind of connect with the, Main Street feel of, many of those structures are brick and that's the Main Street side of the building. So it gives a little more relationship to the feel of the local area. And there will be a nice open landscape. So these are just a few more images. You can see the extent of the terrace on the second floor that will be looking out over the river. The elements on this side that kind of project in that front are all the metal panel components, and the brick area is the larger element on the back along Arch Avenue. There will be a nice bus drop off, anticipating school groups and other groups that come to visit the museum on a regular basis. And significant amount of outdoor space to work with. And then this is the facade along Arch Avenue that we've left space for the potential of a future mural, as there's a history of murals there in the area that may be an opportunity that comes down the road in the process. But there'll certainly be places for banners and signage, as we've shown on the building, that may evolve a little bit as we continue in the design process, but to give you kind of an articulation of how that might look. As I mentioned, this is a little bit of an adjustment from maybe some of the images that you've seen in the past. But we're excited about, that we've still been able to retain all of the space, the square footage, the goals that have been outlined by the museum in this process, with what we think is a very dynamic and engaging building that will fit in with the local community very well. And so that is what we're going to be presenting in a few weeks to the Art and Architectural Review Board. Um, uh, we don't foresee any problems with that process going forward, and we'll be continuing on that effort from here. So with that, I can turn over for any questions, or Jonathan, if you have follow-ups on that.
No, just thank you again for coming today and giving us the quick walkthrough there. Before questions, or if anybody has any, just a lot of the changes were adjusted based on the budget. And aesthetically, the building has already been to the Art and Architectural Review Board once before, and we got kind of continuing support there. I think we're just going to them, and Stephen, is it maybe take us through the next couple of phases of things? I know it's ARB next, and then we're submitting for again a cost analysis.
Yeah, so where we are in the process is that we're just in the stages of wrapping up what's called the preliminary design phase. So that's kind of the second step of a three-step design process. Um, we will be submitting that in a few weeks. Uh, we're in the process right now of getting an updated estimate of the construction cost, and all of that package then goes into the Division of Engineering and Buildings at the state offices for review and comments. We typically get comments from them regarding code related issues, components of the design, and also an update on the cost determination for the project, that tells us how we should proceed into the next phase. So the final phase in our process is working drawings that will still need to be authorized by the legislature and the state for us to go forward. But um, and then that is when we get the final documents ready for sending out to obtain a contractor and be ready to build. Um, so we're anticipating that we're still going to be working through this preliminary design process with the state. There's a little back and forth that happens there, and that'll probably be wrapped up hopefully by the end of the spring.
Excellent. Well, does anybody else have questions for Steve? All right, here's see some shaking heads and some. All right, well, Stephen, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Thank you all.
Right on. Now we're back. All right, guys, what do we think? Do we? All right. Excellent. Well, it sounds like we're moving right along. Seems like the phases are right in line with where we need to be. We can jump on down to advocacy. So as you know, we're ending this budget cycle. Governor's got some things to look over. I think it's something like 900 different amendments to look through. Following that up, we're working on getting a letter to the Secretary of Education in support of the project. So we kind of want, as soon as that one budget process ends, I know, working with the state, the next one starts. So we want to be at the front of that whole process. So I know that we've sent some letters home, and if somebody doesn't have a copy of one, you guys can let us know. We're happy to provide it. That way we can get it to the Secretary of Education, and that's a little bit different than 3 years ago. We used to go through the budget office, and they would work with governor's staff. Now it's there's an approval process through the Secretary of Education. Just I think they like to keep a handle on things. They don't want surprises, and they want everything to meet mission, of course, so that they want first shot at approving it. So I think if we can get some letters in her hands moving forward, I think that's a good
Jonathan, let me ask you a question real quick. Um, Given everything that's going on, the chaos and decisions being made and then decisions being changed at the federal level, do you have any sense of how this uncertainty has played out with the General Assembly? I've been trying to follow that and particularly to get a feel for the kind of support that will exist for this project. And I don't know if you all have heard anything or not, but I've written a letter and sent it, but I'm also wondering if I need to write another letter and emphasize some different points.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. I think it's all a pivot at this point. I know I've seen some articles, some different papers, different resources of the governor supporting potential federal workers, say in Fairfax, where there's a larger population that live there with state options. I think the move is probably to retain and draw people back to Virginia. So I think a shift maybe and there's going to be a time for a second letter as well. So this is the first letter is getting us foot in the door, and then the second letter, thank you for your consideration. We really appreciate it going forward. We want to continue it. I think a big part of that could be the tourism angle. We discussed that here some for sure, trying to get that tourism back to Virginia and or keeping citizens here, adding to the benefits that we already have in the state, as an asset. So continue to be an asset for the state and to bring those people across state lines as well as retain the ones that are already here. So that's a great point. I think there's going to be a shift. Um, Happy to take any kind of any language or ideas, or I know we've been running around here with some thoughts, but some of the models show 4.8% unemployment for the state, and then others show up to 7. So that Northern Virginia component, the revenues are going to be certainly decreased. Hopefully not too much. Hopefully with the governor's plan, we can support ourselves and he can pull those federal workers back to Virginia. So I think there's going to be a narrative change. I think it'll probably be directed toward tourism and economic development for sure. So, good. All right. Moving on to, we jump over to the trailer. You guys, wait for trailer there. So we're working with a contractor to get the trailer picked up. And so we need a scope of work. So we're having the trailer picked up and delivered to a location in North Carolina that specializes in event trailers. Working on that right now. Have the contract's been sent over and invoices in place. Just trying to finalize those details. That'll involve us removing that temporary exhibit that's currently there, of course, bringing it all back to storage here in Martinsville, getting that trailer sent down, and then rehabbed as quickly as possible, and then getting it back in place. I think that kind of just around the scope will be just a new wrap, probably for the trailer.
It was fine when it got picked up, right?
Yeah, yeah. So just been working on it. I think it's going to be necessary to just as far as wrap maintenance goes, there'll be another wrap put on it. So we'll be thinking critically about that, and of course reaching out for input to keep it place based, keep it intriguing for the citizens of Waynesboro and the surrounding area.
Do you think it'll be back in time for Riverfest, or is that too quick?
I think that's too quick. I think we're looking at months and months. I believe as far as what I'm being told by the contractor, but of course we can't nail them down until we pay them to provide the scope of work. So you got to be the first to know.
And it's on the agenda, I know, but we will be removing the exhibit materials temporarily, and then that's an opportunity to do any updates as well. So we'll have that all well planned out before it's open again.
So just to bounce back to the funding's there, we got permission from the legislature on before this budget session, the previous budget session, to use maintenance reserve funds. Typically those aren't, you don't use your maintenance reserve funds for objects that move or with wheels. So we were able to get that in the budget language, allowing us to use some funds there. So we're looking HVAC, electrical, lighting, pretty much everything is on the table to be looked at and gone through with fine tooth comb and then corrected. Perfect. Excellent. Any questions so far? We got covered a lot. All right. And then jumping down to the community connections, I believe, you want to take the signage on?
Sure. So, as you all hopefully heard, if not, it's really exciting. We got a grant from Dominion Foundation back May 2024. So we've been working internally with some partners as well to develop trail signs for the new Greenway Trail. So it's going to be 7 different signs at different points on the trail. As part of that, we're working with a local 3D printing firm. So we're going to have some touchable sort of relief objects as well, to not only, for people to read about it, but also to touch models of what they might encounter, whether it's animal footprints or different things. So that's ongoing. We're actually targeting this Friday to get the designs to the printer. So we're working with the city of Waynesboro. I know they work with a printer that does outdoor signage. So working with them, working with the 3D printer, and then of course we're gonna get the scheduling done with Parks and Rec to do the actual installation. So we're still targeting May 3rd for the Riverfest. And then I understand there's another ribbon cutting later in the summer for the overall Greenway. So I think in August.
Yeah, if Greg were on the line, we'd ask him.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, working with the Dominion staff, they're excited. Looking forward to the different phases of opening.
all right. So then just continuing the community connections, the Wayne Theater lecture series looks like on March 18th, we'll be hearing about caves. Dr. Garcia, sounds like a intriguing, exciting lecture, especially for the area of karst topography in Waynesboro, leading all that fresh water down to that river. And of course, this is just to reiterate the Riverfest May 3rd. Then Carol pointed out, obviously, we were hoping to get everything done with the trailer, but that timeline is a little too short for us to get it back there. So.
Angel Garcia does a great job. It's amazing what he's doing with his students. One of the reasons I'm really excited he's going to be presenting as part of the series is he has developed with his students a technology where they have been doing 3D mapping of Grand Caverns. They have found new passages. They are creating a process whereby this is something we might be able to learn from. They're creating virtual reality demonstrations for folks who may not be able to get down into the cave, so that they can have the experience of being in the cave without actually being there. So the karst is cool, the geology is cool, but what I really love about his work, and the reason I get excited about working with him, is that he's always thinking about how you present this information to folks and how you make it real and how you make it accessible. So he's going to do a great job on the 15th.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, that's what we're all about. We're connecting to the science to people. So I mean, that is something to be excited about.
And,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to, Dr. Garcia also received funding last year from the Pete Henniker Memorial Fund. That was made possible by a donation by Bill Henniker, longtime colleague and supporter. So that's really exciting. I think this talk is part of that overall process. So we're really happy about that.
No questions. We're going to jump on down to open discussion. So there's Mr. Rick Kane in the house. Maybe give us a bit of a background. Welcome to the group here. I know Lynn was discussing it with us, but if you just want to kind of give us a little bit of background.
Sure. Don't really know where to start, but I'm a graduate of Virginia Tech in architecture. Practiced architecture for about 30 years, but took a turn about 4 years into my architecture career and went into real estate and building development, and did that for about the building development for about 20 years, and then left that business and have my own brokerage firm. So I've been licensed for 43 years in this area. So primarily, that's where the income comes from. And I serve on a few of the local boards around here.
Fantastic. So yeah, excited to have you on board. Don't be surprised if I don't shoot you an email asking you about architecture at some point. Getting you
That's
away.
fine. Just keep in mind, I've been retired from that 15 years now.
All right. Very good. Very good. Well, I appreciate you coming today. Looking forward to meeting you in person, potentially at the next one. Get up to Waynesboro, and we'll see you there. Really, for the good of the group, is there anything further?
I think you guys have covered everything today.
That was our goal. Just wide net, cast a wide net, hit as many topics as possible as quickly as possible. Yeah. So obviously, if there's any questions, just email us. We'll be happy to answer any questions, and then get Mr. Kane on board, and looking forward to seeing him again the next one.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thanks, everyone.
we appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.